Good morning, everybody. Here by myself today, which is totally fine. Trying to figure out how to stop the transcription. There we go. All right, Dr. Wagner here on a Saturday morning that just turned a little bit. The weather. In any case, welcome to the end of the semester. You're surviving it mostly. So far, I sent an email with a little video just reminding you that things are generally due by tomorrow evening so that Monday I can finalize grades and get them submitted on time. And then if you need any extension of time that you just need to please uh, just give me a heads up that you'll still be submitting things. Monday is the deadline though, because the grades have to go final. And if you have any really, um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Problematic things happening towards the end of the semester and you might need to finish out with an incomplete or in progress, just let me know that too. Sorry, the weather is really kind of bad here in Kent. So in any case. All right, so just a couple final feedback things since there's, no one has anything that they want to speak about. When I was grading through the quizzes and things, I noticed that some of us got a little creative with the alphabet model for ethical decision making. So if you were struggling with that, please just look back at the module. A is for assessment, B is benefit, C is consequences, D is duty, and E is education. And importantly, those are all about us as the helper, not about the client at all. So those are essentially the steps we would take, right? Assessment is, okay, so what exactly is going on here? And then the benefits are like, okay, so what might be some benefit that this person could experience? And consultation is, do I have to double check anything to see if, where I might want to put my encouragement or what I might need to be thoughtful of legally, depending on the situation and the population with which we're working. I know in previous discussions, we've talked just a little bit about minors and things of that nature where confidentiality can't be what it can be with people who are of legal majority. D then is to who are my duties. And so in that conversation on ethics, I talked specifically about, am I responsible to Lori right now or to Dr. Wagner or to Kent State University or health education and promotion, population health on a world or global level? And so, there's where I kind of think about it, right? Like I prefer to do this or that, but Kent State prefers this. Or, Lori's values are this, but Lori doesn't really exist in the classroom. Dr. Wagner does. And so Dr. Wagner's professional boundaries and the duties to how I present these things in class are going to probably sometimes at least be different from how I might do it with my own person or people. And then that last one is education. If we really don't know, then who can we ask? And I think I talked about that as well. I have a bunch of trusted colleagues, fortunately, that I can say, like, hey, I'm having this issue, or I'm worried about this thing. What can I do with it or about it? What do you think? This is what I'm hoping for. And that can also, well, policy says this, but protocol says that, and ethics says this. And so that could be a little helpful there too. So for those of you that didn't need that little refresher, I apologize. But if you did, and I really appreciate it, some of the people are like, well, I choose, whatever for whatever. And I was like, well, that's not a bad one, but not part of the ABCDE model that was in those modules. So um, in any case, all right, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, your Who Am I papers. And so I really appreciate at the end of this semester, even though summer semesters are only 5 weeks long, so it seems a little ridiculous. But many of you are pointing out, both in the videos that you're submitting as well as the videos that you're reviewing, the growth in skills already. And keep in mind, it's only been 5 weeks. I mean, generally you're given 16 weeks plus, right, with breaks and things built in. So you still have plenty of time to refine these skills and work on them. I appreciate those of you who are saying, hey, in my personal life, I've been able to utilize some of these. I'm looking forward to ways I can utilize them in my professional life. And we're hoping that by the end of this next year, we'll have the additional, all we need is the 1 credit lab to bring up the level of role playing and interacting, getting feedback, pardon me, on your role plays and getting that, more critical analysis. that will then allow you to sit for the national board of health coaching for those of you who are interested. So I will be sending out emails as that happens, because that's just a little extra thing depending on whatever else you're doing. I know some of you are working as influencers or in wellness fields or well-being fields, and then might want that additional credential. So that can be a kind of fun one. In that same line, when you're talking about yourselves in your Who Am I paper, I recognize that that can be a little personal for some of you, and keep in mind the directions in my courses. And if you've already turned it in, I guess this is a little late, but it's always, share whatever you feel like sharing. And some of you are real fun with your like, I'm just giving you this one thing. And then others of you are like, I'm giving it all to you. And wherever you fall in that is great. So the only thing I see occasionally is that people forget to reflect on how what we know about ourselves can help us help other people. And sometimes that does get just a little wayward. We'll say, well, I've been through this, so now I know how to help someone else through that. And as long as that's not helping them through the same exact pathway, that's great. But, thinking about the challenges and the consequences of, some of the ways in which helping other people can go a little wayward sometimes, or the ways in which we maybe received help, right, that wasn't so helpful. So those can all be good things to reflect on. And so I always just want to say, because I sit here this morning, even trying to grade through them, your life experiences going to make me upset again. I sit here and cry while I grade them. And some of you are like, this is kind of personal. I'm like, I know. And so I do keep those things very private and confidential. Nobody hears or knows anything about what you say and what you share. And I always feel a little bit like, thanks for sharing is a little rude, because some of you are sharing some very intimate, very traumatic, very what's the opposite of traumatic? Very encouraging, right? Some of the beautiful things that you've learned from the experiences that you go through. So I'm so glad that you took the time in a course like this, whatever the reason that you're here for, to reflect on that, because I think it can be a healthful thing to pause and figure out, where are we? How do we get here, right? Who are we? I know sometimes I'm struggling with that. Like, these are my values, and these are the kinds of choices I want to make. But then these are the choices that maybe feel easier or not so easier. So continuing to recheck in with my values and sort of the path I'm attempting to walk, pardon me, can also help with some of that. So something else just to be thoughtful about in that final piece of who you are. And then I want to encourage you to take a look at the beginning of the week 5 modules. And so that one is actually called, it just says week 5, I think, is where it starts, content. In there, you will see Mallory's project on healthcare for people on the autism spectrum. So another, really important amount of important content to take a look at. Mallory and I were talking about it earlier in the semester, and she said it says engaging. And I think she did a great job of engagement there. So it's listed under that link. It says take a good look at the graduate student project. So if you click that, even though I'm not going to harass anybody with an additional discussion, they didn't seem to be very popular this summer or well attended, which is totally fine. I understand it's summer and it's an entirely online class, so you don't generally expect to be asked to show up at specific times. But Mallory can be reached in the People tab of the course. So if you have any specific questions or specific feedback that you might want to give Mallory, please feel free to reach out and do it in that way. And that's all I'm going to do for today. I don't want to keep you longer. This was your turn, and the class spoke that you essentially didn't really have anything more to say. So I guess I'll just use this opportunity to say thank you for showing up this summer. There's a lot going on, the weather, there's just a lot in your personal lives and our public lives and our community lives and our international lives. So thank you for taking the time to work on yourselves, work on behalf of helping other people, as well as those of you that showed up in the class in real helpful ways for me as well. So I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the discussion here and try to think of some questions for those of you who weren't present. So we'll see how that goes. All right, have a great summer, y'all, and I hope to see you again. I would love to have any of you in class or in an in-person class specifically in the future. So keep your heads up, enjoy the rest of your summer, and I hope to talk to you again soon. All right, take care.